Okay, thank you. Good morning. Welcome. This is the West Valley School District Board of Directors special meeting. It is Thursday, June 6th, 8 a.m., and I'll call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to excuse Mr. Strong from the meeting this morning. Call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries to excuse Mr. Strong 4-0. Any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
Any communications?
No communications.
Item 5 is the public comment period. Since the camera's pointed at me, other than district staff, there is no other attendees this morning, so we'll move past the public comment period. We have one action item, which is the approval of resignations, retirements, and separations of employee Kurt Suiza. And I'd entertain a motion, unless there's any of the board members have any further questions on this matter. Otherwise, I'd take a motion to approve the item this morning.
So moved.
Thank you. Call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Since we moved rapidly through the agenda, I have one item arising that I'll just update the board on. Several meetings ago, the board members will recall that we took action on a request for a group of houses near Scenic Drive that are in the Yakima School District to be admitted into the West Valley School District, and we approved that. We approved their petition. The Yakima School District is resisting that petition, and I believe we shared with the board previously that the Yakima. So in the law, when this happens, the parties can have basically a meeting. They call it a mediation. And so we actually had two sessions with the Yakima School District, and that was myself and Mark Strong and Dr. Finch with the Yakima School District superintendent and two of our counterparts on the board of directors. And we had a meeting about a month ago, and then we had a meeting a few days ago. The first meeting we were a little compressed for time. In summary of the first meeting, the parties basically have a disagreement about the legality behind whether or not the petitioners have a legal right to even make the petition. And when I say we have a disagreement, their counsel feels one way, our counsel feels the other, that we acted properly. But putting that sort of a little bit to the side, the concern that was raised there were several concerns that were raised. One of which is that it's pretty rare to have these sorts of petitions entertained by school districts, whether it's us or any school district. And in fact, at least for me, in the last couple of years, this is now the third one that we've just had in the last couple of years. Before that, I'd never experienced that as a school board member before. A couple of them had to do with where the boundary had actually cut through, but this one now is a neighborhood. This is basically a neighborhood wanting to come in, which is a little bit different. And the concern was what's from the Yakima School District is sort of this, what's going on? Why is this happening? Are you soliciting them to come? Are you doing it to increase your enrollment? Are you doing it for money purposes? and of which the answer is no. We're just responding to more of just kind of, I think my view of it, just for me personally, is hey, this is great. If there's a group of people that want to be part of our district, why would we say no to that if we can handle the if it's not a huge impact to the district? But in talking with them, putting aside whatever enrollment issues and that they're like, well, is this the start of a trend?
Yeah.
And it was I think this, from my perspective, I'm glad we had these meetings, because I think we were able to tell them to a person, we're not trying to do a hostile takeover of the, and we don't want to have a bad relationship with the Yakima School District. That is not our intention. It is not our intention to encroach upon their boundaries. I do think that we need to have, and I think we're going to be on track for this. To me, the requests to come into the district are in two different baskets. One would be the one where maybe a boundary line or a property's been developed where the district boundary cuts through the middle of a property, and so you have a parcel that's partially in the West Valley School District and partially in the Yakima School District. So that's one of them. The other one is more like the one that we just received, and so when we mediated to try to come to a resolution, we didn't really arrive at a resolution. But what we worked on, what Peter and Mark and I, along with our district's council's help, worked on from the first meeting to the second, is we're not going to reconsider our vote, but Peter, Mark, and I worked on a policy and a superintendent's procedure that we will be bringing forward for a first reading for the board's consideration. That is a school board policy that is based in the law, but also gives the board and the board members a little bit more direction, and or at least that's the intent of how we're going to go about considering these, and what is our process for considering these in the future, and actually writing it down in policy. So that's coming forward. We'll be bringing a first reading. So since we had a few minutes this morning, I thought I would give you that background, and we'll certainly talk a little bit more about the policy when it comes around, and you'll be able to see it in an upcoming board packet. But that, when you see that come around, that's the genesis for that. Is there anything that Dr. Finch?
Yeah, we were planning to put on Tuesday night.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So that's
great that you gave some
and we left the meeting on Tuesday with the Yakima School Board folks. It was very, they liked what they appreciated the policy, that they obviously it would have been nice to come to a resolution. So they're gonna appeal to a community board, and we'll let the chips fall where they may on that, and they feel strongly about their position, and we will obviously abide by the community board's ruling, but we left the meeting shaking hands, and it wasn't contentious, and they appreciated our efforts to meet with them, and so as I said to them, and I don't think I'm speaking I don't think I'm speaking out of turn. We don't seek to have any ill will with any neighboring school district.
So we should be able to see that policy.
It'll come in the board packet tomorrow. So that's just, when you look, I'm glad we could talk about it, because when you see it, it's like, well, what's this about? Well, that's what this is about. So
That's good.
And when the policy, we thought it was a really good process, actually, to have representatives from the Yakima School District School Board and representatives from West Valley sit down and talk through the situation. The way it's set up, it's really kind of a reactive in the law, where you sit down after the fact. So in our policy, we made it proactive.
Right.
So prior to making a decision by the board, we would have two representatives from the West Valley Board meet with the neighboring school board and talk through the situation prior to taking a vote.
Right. So
Great.
yeah. So anyway, that's coming down the pike. So that's all I have for items arising. If anybody else has anything. All right. See everybody tomorrow night for graduation. And it is 8:10 and we are adjourned.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
So I don't want to ask it publicly.